motto and our job is delivering happiness to students. So we believe that we can enhance things and we can make things better. And how do we do it? So the second floor here, that's maybe, some of you already know the space. It's an open place where students from any discipline can work together on innovation or entrepreneurship projects. So any school, we don't really care what's the color of your school, what's the discipline. If you come from a grande école, a university, or wherever, as long as you have some drive, some passion, then you can make something happen actually in a space. So we have done a lot of programs. So for some of you that are like alumni here, so we created like CPI. We worked, like it was 2003 when we started working on it. It's the first multidisciplinary program that has been running in France. We mix people from engineering, from design, from business schools. We've been the first program to import the design thinking, the lean startup method here. And it has been a game changer for many students because it has shown concretely what's the impact of multidisciplinarity. Like in the US, in Berkeley, you have the chance on the single campus to have many disciplines. In France, for most of the schools that you know, it's really silo-oriented. So we're trying to fight against that. So a lot of things are happening. So if you have any projects, we welcome any kind of, we did like competition finals, speakers. We had Guy Kawasaki last year. We did social entrepreneurship with Make Sense. We welcomed the HEC entrepreneurship finals, etc., etc. So it's the point of School Lab is giving you opportunity, a space to make things happen. And because you're interested in entrepreneurship, you must have ideas to create things and just use the space as you could imagine or any idea. So a few words about the program. So it can be really a game changer for you guys because all of you knows about Silicon Valley, etc., what's happening there. And we want to try to give you the best opportunities. So it's 8 months, 4 months in Berkeley, 4 months here. At School Lab, we created also Starter, that maybe some of you already know. It's the first pre-incubator, pre-accelerator that mix people from any schools. We had I think, 70 schools, I think, that applied to Starter, 200 students that applied. And the idea of the program is going to be 4 months in Berkeley and 4 months in School Lab. So before giving the floor to Mark, so we want to invite international students to help develop their teams. So it's the point for you to meet people, to meet VCs, you don't need to have a project, you don't need to have ideas, but it could help. You have access to the amazing lecture, but what I like about the US is that everything is available. You just need to have the drive and the desire to go get it. So in other words, if you do the typical French students, so you go to class, you sit, you just try to pass, and you wait for orders, save your time. You don't need to go there, You can go on vacation to San Francisco. It's cheaper, it's faster, and you will go back to your very nice student attitude in France. So really the point is, if you want something, you must go get it. You have an amazing resources. You have Nobel Prizes. You have super serial entrepreneurs. You have VCs. It's about pitch. It's about drive. It's about willingness to make things happen. And now, Mark, I'm going to give you the mic. Mark is going to talk about his book. And about...
Should I talk about that book first?
Like you. It's...
No, I'm going to start with this. Okay, may I? May I? Fantastic.
You're the boss.
Fantastic, thank you. So, good evening. Hi. Thank you for ordering up such beautiful weather for me to visit from San Francisco. So it was beautiful when I left San Francisco. So I assume, now who's been to San Francisco? Okay, most. Who's been to UC Berkeley? Well, now, it's kind of unfair because all of those guys in the back are all my former students. So after everything, it's so great to see them again, too. So after everything we talk about today, if you're interested in going and understanding what really happens, you should talk to all of the folks that are here. This is our 3rd year doing this program. So we have 2 groups that have already been through, mostly but not entirely from Polytechnique and ESSEC, and we've had some other schools that have participated as well. So there were 3 things that Olivier asked me to speak about tonight. So thank you for organizing this and for gathering all of these people. One was to talk a little bit about the program itself. So what is it that we do, what's the experience like, etc. As a part of that, I thought I would share a little bit about Berkeley, just because you would be coming and being a student at Berkeley, and I'm really passionate about Berkeley because I have 2 degrees from UC Berkeley, and I get to teach there, which is great for me. And then the third is I just published a book that is very consistent with this whole concept of talking about innovation and entrepreneurship. And the book is called The Other F Word: How Smart Leaders, Teams, and Entrepreneurs Put Failure to Work. And it's about understanding that if you're going to take risks, if you want to innovate, if you want to be an entrepreneur, if you want to create great things, you will sometimes fail. And in Silicon Valley, we understand that pretty well. We talk a lot about the lean startup method and iterating fast, but even there we don't like failure. And as my students and colleagues from the prior cohorts have shared, the French people, though, in general, you all process failure really well. Is that right? It's not a problem at all to fail. You're used to failing and talking about it. Do I have an amen on that? Okay. So we'll talk just a little bit about that tonight. I'm just going to share about 5 minutes, some insights from the book. And actually, I'm giving a talk tomorrow evening on it, so if anybody's interested, just come chat with me afterwards, and I'll tell you where that is here in Paris. So I suppose I can share that. Why not, right? It's at Agoranov, if people know, which is, another accelerator or shared workspace. And so that's tomorrow evening. All right, so let me share with you a little bit about the experience. By the way, who is considering or just thinking about, even a little bit, going to this program? All right, so you're kind of here, okay. So first of all, you would have to spend time with me, so you can make that decision really quickly. So one way or another, right? Sometimes people react in different ways. So I'm the lead faculty member, and as we grow the program, I continue to be involved. And I'm really passionate about the individuals and also the ventures that you are pursuing. But passionate not just to be encouraging, but also to say, really, what are you thinking about? How are you thinking about this? And then we have some other great faculty members as well, which I'll just discuss them briefly. But in addition to the main program, we have, and I won't share names because it's meaningless, but we have Whitney, who is fantastic and has run workshops around entrepreneurship, and she will be a key part of working with each of the teams in a very workshop-oriented environment. And we have Edith, who just launched a mobile fund for 500 startups, is an entrepreneur, has taken mobile applications through 100 million plus users. So she understands the funding environment and is so well connected. And last time around, we were at Zynga and Airbnb, and I see the Bitcoin thing across the street. One of the key investors of Bitcoin came in and spoke. We were at 500 startups. So we have a lot of access to some of the key influencers and places in Silicon Valley, whether we visit them, so you can kind of see what the Silicon Valley, San Francisco work environment is like, and kind of get inside that, or whether we invite them to come join us on campus. And those are also people, whether it's the instructors or the people that we get to meet, that become resources for you in your ventures, especially if they're relatively on target. So that's just a little bit about us. We also have, for those of you especially who are more technical or engineers, we have technical tracks, and we will do independent studies where we'll focus on some of those key technologies that are an element of your venture and let you work with some of our professors in small groups as opposed to larger classes to delve a little bit deeper into those technologies. So whether it's big data or mobile or many of these other areas where we want to look at prediction algorithms, things like that, we have those things available to us as well. How many of you have ever, that are thinking about this, have a startup you're working on right now? All right, so yeah, you guys in the back, you don't count. All right, so let me just ask a couple of questions here. So first I'll start with an observation. With all of this activity, and we see it everywhere and we see it here too, it has probably never been easier to launch a new venture than right now. With the tools that we have, with the ability to find space for free at a wonderful place like this, with the ability to network, launching a venture isn't a hard thing. But with so many ventures that are being launched, it's incredibly difficult to create a venture that can punch through the noise, that can gain traction, and that can be successful. You know, and you think about that whether it's in unique markets or on a global basis. So what we try and do is say, first of all, where do you start when you want to think about a venture? So one of the things when we think about ventures is Dilbert over here? Do you know the comic strip Dilbert? So Dilbert is actually by one of my classmates. And when we think about what kinds of ideas we might go with, here they're thinking about this. By my calculations, we can make millions by combining a mortuary business and a garbage collection business. Our customers could simply leave the dearly departed by the curb for pickup. And the other one says, maybe we could add pizza delivery too. It's like, no, let's not push a good idea too far. So the idea is, okay, what's a good idea? And what's that right combination of good ideas? So when you think about how you define a good opportunity, and again, not you guys. So when you think about what's a good opportunity, what do you think is a good opportunity? How do you start thinking about opportunities? How do some of you start thinking about opportunity, generally? What are you trying to do? If you're launching a new business, what are you trying to do? So you're getting a real-life experience of what it would actually be like. So you're trying to solve a problem, right? So if you say you want to solve a problem or meet a need, keep thinking about it. What kind of a need or problem are you trying to solve? The kind of problem where people are looking for a solution, hopefully, and the kind of problem, if they've got a problem and they're looking for a solution, what's the last thing you want them to be willing to do? Pay for it, right? So whether they pay for it with money or whether they pay for it with eyeballs, that's what you're looking for. Question, who got their check from Google last week? Because you know you all work for Google, right? Every time you click on a search or you make a search, what does Google do with that search? They monetize it. It's this great engine. How much do you pay for Gmail? Nothing. How much did you used to pay for mail applications? A lot. Why? Because Google figured out how to monetize it. So they said, aha, people have a need, whether it's search or email, we can make money off it, they're searching for it, so they can monetize it without you even paying them. So that's an example as we think about what's a great opportunity and what's a great business model. So now all you have to do is come up with a better business model and a better opportunity than Google. But it's okay because we have 4 months to do it. So where do you start? Okay, so we're just going to take a moment or two because this is the mindset that you say, okay, do I want to go and think about this stuff? So where do you start? There's 2 things you need to go to know. If you're going to be a venture capitalist, a consultant, or an entrepreneur, you need to be able to make a 2x2 square diagram, and you need to be able to create a Venn diagram, all right? And then you can explain everything. You can explain relationships, you can do all of that. So we're going to start with a Venn diagram. And by the way, when you do your pitch, typically you'll want at least 1 2x2 diagram and 1 Venn diagram in there. So where do you start? So the first thing that you want to do is think about what are you passionate about. So, do you want to what kind of problem do you want to solve? What kind of area are you really interested in? It could be a social venture. It could be an area that you're just really excited about, fill in the blank, photography or literature or whatever. So what is it that you want to focus on? Start there because you're going to be working really hard at it. And by the way, the more passionate you are about it, the more you know about the topic as well, and the more you want to stay on top of it. Secondly, is there a legitimate market opportunity there? So is there Is this a problem that people are looking to solve? Is it big? Are there hundreds of millions of people or millions of people trying to solve this opportunity? And then finally, do you have expertise, or can you assemble the expertise? Now, you would be coming to say, okay, let's build some of that expertise. Or how do we put a team together to build that expertise? And at that intersection, when you say, I'm passionate about it and it aligns with my values, I have or I can gain the expertise, and there's a market opportunity, then we say, let's go. Let's build a team around it, let's talk to customers, and let's figure it out. And that's what we spend the whole semester doing. We start with this, and then we say, now what is it that we need to do? What do we need to learn about? So the next question, and I was really interested to hear what you were going to say. You said we teach entrepreneurship. So how do we teach entrepreneurship? So, there's often a question that say, can entrepreneurship be taught? I'm not sure that you can teach people how to be great entrepreneurs, but what we can do is we can teach you behaviors, and we can give you tools that you can use to improve your chances and to be better entrepreneurs. And then we just let Darwin and natural, kind of the natural state of things and your personal drive take over. So I'm going to start with a story. See, some of these guys have seen the story. So the way that we used to teach entrepreneurship versus the way we teach it now. So this is me and my daughter Allison on her 18th birthday. And I asked her what she wanted to do. And I thought she might want to go skiing for the weekend or whatever. And she goes, no, Dad. I want to jump out of an airplane, and I want you to jump out of an airplane with me because I know when you were 18, you did this. So I did, and it was really great. It had been a few years since I had done that, and that's us about, I don't know, an hour later. 2 miles, free fall, lots of fun, great experience. So it made me think about the experience, and that is now, here's what, 20 minutes of training, got in the airplane, jumped that day. I had an expert guide the whole way down, strapped to my back, and it was great, and it was fast, and I had a wonderful experience, and I would do that again. And I thought back to when I was 18, and we had 5 hours of training. I went with my friends, and we jumped on the dirt, and we went up a little higher, and we jumped, and we tucked and rolled, and we jumped, and we tucked and rolled, and we trained so long that the wind came up, and we couldn't jump that day. So we came back another day. We went up in the airplane, and we jumped, and that wind was still there. And there was a place we were supposed to land, and we started drifting. And we missed the landing zone, because you can't steer those kinds of parachutes, right? So we missed the landing zone, and we landed in a cornfield a couple of fields over, and I was okay, but my friend was in a cast for 2 months, and it was terrible. And why was that? Because all the training that we did was worthless the moment we jumped out of the airplane. Did us no good. So now we jump out of the airplane with you, and that's the way that we teach entrepreneurship these days. And when you think about the lean startup approach, which is iterating quickly, when we talk about a lot of the techniques that we use and how transparent information is with web now and how quickly we can access it, we've accelerated the pace of creating ventures, and we do it in real time, and that's the way we teach it at Berkeley. So really what we look to do is, as I said, we give you the tools along the way, and we have an approach that basically says we're going to introduce new topics, and then we immediately apply those learnings, and we create things, products, go-to-market plans, teams, organization charts. Then we go out and we talk to customers, or we iterate in the classroom and with one another. So you consult with one another, and you get feedback. And then you integrate that feedback and evolve. If the customers say they don't like it, you ask what they do like, and then what do we do? And then we introduce new concepts again. And every week for 12 plus weeks, 14 weeks, that's what we'll be doing. And we'll be bringing in experts from Silicon Valley and from marketing firms and venture capitalists and investment bankers and others to help you understand that and to be a resource for you. So we talk about things like finding your customer and who that right customer is and iterating around what that opportunity looks like. And how do you do rapid prototyping and designs? How do you create a video for your product that you've never thought of when I say your video is due in 2 days? How do you create a 2-minute video? How do you create a go-to-market game plan that's that quick? How do we think about business models? Do we use complex business model canvases like that? Or do we put some simple business models together that says, I sell a product to this person, they give me money? Or Google's, they use my product and I sell the advertising and they give me money. And we talk about financial models. How much money do you need? How much money do you burn? What is your each? Which means if I sell this clicker, what are my costs for this clicker? All of them. And what are my revenues for this clicker? And then how many clickers do I need to sell to create a billion-dollar business? So we do those kinds of analyses. And then we talk about the entire experience of the customer, from where they've never heard about you, to where they get to know you, to where they buy the product, and then how do you keep them satisfied and loyal, and so they become your advocate, this understanding that process. And we talk about brands and what to do to build your brand, and how you position yourself competitively in the marketplace against all your other competitors. What are those distinctions? And then what's your go-to-market plan? How are you going to take your product to market? You know, what was great is I was with one of the teams from last semester, and everybody talks about kind of viral go-to-market plans and, you know, how you use the web, and they said, no, we have flyers. Our customers come to us because we give them a flyer, and then they use the web to order. Love that, because that's what they learned through their research. And then we finish, your final is putting together a pitch. So you pitch a panel of us on, if we're going to market, if we want to raise money, if we want to put that together, what's that 8-10-minute pitch look like? And then, as you would expect, we have a lot of things that don't always work out the way we want. So we talk about dealing with failure and learning from failure. And some of those failures are small failures. It's like the product didn't sell the way we wanted. What do we learn from it? Let's change the features. Let's change the pricing. Let's change the go-to-market plan. Let's change our target customer group. Those are the types of things that we look at there. Because while your plan starts out like that, it's actually typically a lot more like this. And we want to give you those tools so that you can swim across the lake, cross the tightrope, and get to success eventually. The one thing I want to talk about is our expectations of you. So if you come, we'll come prepared to do all of this. And our expectations of our students is that, because we've had some students that say, well, I can go to every other class. It's like, no, this is a workshop. So we want students that are here to be really involved and engaged, because you are going to work in teams and you're going to work with other teams. So it's the kind of thing where, yes, I want to be spending time with my teams and my classmates, because the learning is experiential. Yes, there's reading and there's research, but not much. It's about the way that you work with your classmates. So we just want students that are very focused and understand those are our expectations. You also need to be willing to share enough about your idea with teammates and classmates that we can actually work together as a team. We put in place what we call the non-disclosure agreement, or NDA, of the classroom, which means what's said in the classroom stays in the classroom. But we want people, obviously, that are willing to share enough so that we can collaborate and work together with one another. So those are kind of key expectations of the program. And then we just get to work. So, here's some things we did, too, from last year. So we start with experiential kinds of events where we get together in group kitchens. We went to TechCrunch, which is a big technology conference, and there were lots of various speakers from industry and pitch contests. We visit a lot of places. This was at Flextronics last semester. This is one of our groups called Switch that came up with some different ways to go out and use a mobile app to help parking, to help you find parking spots. But before they built the mobile app, what did they do? They went out to San Francisco and they sold parking spots for $5 or $10 until they found what the sweet spot was of selling that, and then they built the mobile application. And then these are just some of those crazy students too. So we have a lot of fun and we work pretty hard as well, really hard along the way. And we also have a little nice graduation ceremony at the end. So that's our program. And before going any further, questions. First of all, from the back, what would you guys add to this? Or was that a relatively accurate representation of what we do? Was it close enough? All right. Oh, yeah, okay. Go ahead.
So, missing a little bit of sun.
Hi. I thought you would explain them.
The aha and the oh shit moments?
Yeah, you sort of did. You say you have bumps, and when we got there, they gave us some little cards. A girl that looked really happy and said, aha, and was it also a girl or a guy saying, oh shit? And it happens several times when you try to build your startup. You think it's going to be only, oh, I get an idea, haha, oh, I found a market space there and something is going to work. And you have a lot of maybe more of oh shit moments, and you're supposed to share them, and it's okay to have oh shit moments. And Mark was even happier when we came up with oh shit moments.
Well, the great thing about, go ahead, Michael.
Because he helps you write your book, right?
Yeah, exactly. I needed them as input for the book. You guys are all in this book by name, so No, but the key idea is when people run into those problems, we want to share them, because so often your aha moment is your oh shit moment, right? Or your oh shit moment, somebody goes, oh, but if that's a problem for you, I can actually turn that into a benefit. So since we're going through this process together, that's why we try and share a lot of information. So thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, and we do try and have a little bit of fun along the way as well. All right, questions? What your experience is like? You are expected to work on a plan intensively for the entire semester. And we have never had a single plan that has not gone exactly as was envisioned. Okay, so that is not true at all. Almost every plan changes along the way, and we've had teams break up, and we've had teams fundamentally change what they're doing because the idea does not last past the moment you talk to your first customer. So you're going to be talking to customers in like the second week. Question? Yes. We're supposed to use a microphone because
I just wanted to know if everyone is still working on the startup now. Every one of the people who went to... Yeah. Yes or no? So the people who still work can just raise. And the people who change IDs? Okay. Thanks.
This is, it's really a process. And here's the thing. If you think you might want to be an entrepreneur, you will never find a better, safer place to test an idea than in a program like this. It doesn't have to be this one, because you will have colleagues that you'll work with to say, to have aha and oh shit moments. You'll have people that have seen, I can't tell you how many hundreds of businesses I've seen, both in this environment and also as an entrepreneur and as an investor. So we go, are you sure you're thinking about that the right way? Which is really an invitation for you to go out and talk to some customers or to do that. Because this is a safe place to do that. You're not spending people's money yet. You're not really risking anything. And what's also great is when you tell people you're a student, they will tell you anything. Really, if I'm launching a venture and I go in and I talk to somebody and I say, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm launching a venture, can you tell me about your database? They'll go, hell no. But if you say you're a student that's a grad student at UC Berkeley that's doing research for an entrepreneurship class, they go, sure, let me show you the code. I mean, really, it's amazing what they'll share with you. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. I have two questions. First one is, how does it work? As you say, you work on teams. We decide, like, we are four and we like to decide to work on, like, a company, and then we work together. And the second question is, I'm more in a business guy than a tech guy, and I would love to go into hardcore tech classes. Can I do them, or?
So let me do the second one first. Yes. So the answer is yes, and we're actually changing that a little bit to make it a little easier for people that don't have technology background. So there's two ways you can do that. You can audit classes as long as it's okay on UC Berkeley. You just have to check with the instructor. So you can sit in on hardcore coding, mobile, whatever you want to do. And so what was your first question?
Is how do we...
Oh, yeah, how do we do that? Great. So that's actually that is one of the more challenging things about this program. So that's a great question. And the reason is that sometimes we'll have 25 people show up with 23 ideas. And we say, in order to provide enough attention and iteration for these ideas, we really can have no more than 5 teams or whatever. So we have to do a little bit of a process by which, number one, we form teams, because being able to work in a team and understanding team dynamics is really important if you're going to be an entrepreneur. And we have a lot of learning about that goes on. And sometimes there's a little shouting that goes with the learning. But that's all good. Again, it's a great place to do that. What we're going to do this year is we're going to start posting ideas, invite everybody who's a part of the program to post ideas and even a short video on a website, so that everybody else that's looking at the program, even if you don't know one another, can start to look at these, vote, get in touch with one another, and bubble up those ideas, or say, I have an idea that's like that, would you consider doing this? So we're going to begin the team formation a couple of months before the program even starts. We can even start doing it around times like this. Then what we're going to do is start in mid-August, 2 or 3 weeks before the program. We have a couple of interim programs, like a boot camp that you'll be going through, but it will be an opportunity for you to share ideas, to meet the other members of the team. We'll do some founder dating among you all, and then you'll have some time to discuss those and start to form teams. So on the first day of class, as opposed to 20 people coming in with different ideas, by then we should have been able to iterate through on those ideas a little bit more. And I will help during that pre-class process, as well as, and our classmates can attest to this, we'll go through that process to say which ones are going to make it. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Do we have any comments? That's one of the tougher things that we had to deal with, isn't it? Kind of what are the teams that we end up in the projects we go with?
I think if you go to the program, you have to fix this problem yourself by reaching out to the fellow people that are going to be with you in the program before the program, and try to discuss, make meeting in Paris or just in California to discuss this issue before together. See how many ideas do you have, how many groups are already formed. Because if you are going to join a group that are already and they have a great idea, they want to know you a bit more than just 1 week in Berkeley before accepting you in their group or make sure you're a good fit. So I think really, if you go to the program, you have to fix that problem yourself.
Yeah, and we're going to try and have some mixers in advance so that everybody can meet one another, because there are people that may be coming from Polytechnique. If you're a business guy, you may want a team with some, and this is what we want. We want technical people, we want business people, we want designers, we want to create interdisciplinary teams, and those teams are better.
The other thing I want to mention is that you mentioned the rest of the faculties and the rest of the accompanying teachers. Mark is here on a stage talking to you. What you really need to know is that we call him Uncle Mark, and that all the faculty is actually like a big family for us. And when we're talking about how the teams are made, it's actually like there's daddy and mommy, and they're helping you go through the psychology of the teams by helping you analyze each other in the group and how the best fits can be made to create the best teams. So I'm sure there will be some adjustments compared to the experience we had, but really, yes, it's true. You have to start before the program starts to create your teams, but don't forget that there will always be an accompanying team that will help you check if it's the right team for you or not.
Yeah, we will always be there on the team front, but you also need to take a lot of initiative on your own. We've had a couple of students that just want everything taken care of for them, and entrepreneurship is not neat. I mean, it is kind of messy, and you have to be willing to put up with a little bit of messiness because that's what it takes to be able to be successful. And the reason it's messy is there's a lot of stuff we just don't know, and that's what we do. It's a discovery process. You are discovering new opportunities. The reason opportunities exist is because somebody missed them, and what we do is we find them, and you put the teams together to find those opportunities and figure then out what the business model is around that. So any more questions? All right, fantastic. Do you want a 3-minute introduction to Berkeley? Does anybody want to see my Welcome to Berkeley slideshow? Do we want to do that? I'll do a really fast one. Okay. Okay, so Berkeley, yeah, we're here in Paris, which has been here forever. On the West Coast, we're brand new. You know, Berkeley is old for the West Coast. It's 150 years old. And the University of California is a system of 10 different universities, 10 different campuses. And UC Berkeley is the oldest of them and kind of the granddaddy of them. Other ones that I know you know of are like UCLA, the University of California, Los Angeles, and a number of others. But Berkeley is the big one, and it's the one that was there first. So we do feel like we have a lot of history on our campus. By a lot of different accounts, it's rated as the #1 public university in the world, so we take that with a lot of pride. And when people say Cal, they say the Cal system, but if you're a Cal Bear, it means you're a UC Berkeley Cal Bear. So you'll hear people say Cal and Berkeley interchangeably, and it means the same thing. A couple things about us. We have 66 Nobel Prize winners between graduates and faculty members, which places us in the top 2 or 3 in the world. We have 4 elements on the periodic table that were actually discovered and named at Berkeley. Some of them are kind of silly, like Berkeleyum or Californium. But we have 4 elements on the periodic table. We have a really beautiful bell tower, so you can go up there. One of the things that's cool is every evening, at lunchtime and in the evening, this is one of those bell towers where you have to pull down on the ropes. You know, again, you guys know all this stuff. You know, we Americans, we don't have this culture. But we have concerts every day, which is really beautiful, so you hear the bells ringing across campus. We also have a cyclotron, so we can split atoms, and we do that just above UC Berkeley. There's a whole science complex where there's phenomenal science that's being done there. Now, one of our chancellors once said, "The perfect university provides sex for students, sports tickets for alumni, and parking for faculty." So let me skip the first one. And I'm going to start with parking. So parking has been a big problem because just like in here, we're an urban campus. So it's been a big problem for a while. Now, our regents in their wisdom said, if you win a Nobel Prize, you have free parking on campus. So that's kind of cool. And when people come to campus, they take pictures of that because you normally don't see that terribly often. But the problem is we have 66 Nobel Prize winners on campus. So you're walking along and you see rows of signs with empty parking spaces. So when we complain about it as faculty, you know what they tell us? Win a Nobel Prize. So it's like, great, that's really helpful. So Berkeley is different. I mean, Berkeley is Berkeley. So when you come to Berkeley, you're going to think a little bit different. You know, Berkeley, San Francisco, the whole Bay Area. It's where the free speech movement in the United States started 50 years ago this year. And then, of course, that spread elsewhere. What's really cool is you know, our football team is getting better, for those of you who witnessed like the 1-11 season. So if you want to come watch some American football, it's right there, which is a lot of fun. We have our marching band. And we have our mascot, which is Oski the bear. And when you come to Berkeley, we will actually teach you what to... Actually, can we do this, guys? So what do you say when somebody comes up and they say something? It's like, hey, you know, do you go to Cal Berkeley? And you go, not only do I go to Cal Berkeley, but go Bears. So we do things like that to try and use part of the school spirit of UC Berkeley. Thank you for not embarrassing me. And also, there's some parallels here. Like with France, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area, we really love our food, and we do a lot of things. Chez Panisse is one of these places that infused California with French cooking and kind of changed cuisine in America, which is just off campus. We are really, just like France too, Berkeley is very fashion forward. That's about it for fashion in Berkeley, and you can buy it at any of these places on the street right off UC Berkeley. Okay, last. So, United States, East Coast, West Coast. Berkeley, 3,000 miles, 5,000 kilometers. Then in Berkeley, just so you know, when you come, we've got Oakland, and Berkeley is right there, San Francisco and San Jose. So that's the Bay Area. And it's about, without traffic, it's about an hour. With traffic, it's 2. Our traffic is really bad. Public transit is, what is it, pretty good? See, for us, it's pretty terrible. Public transit sucks, okay. Public transit is fair. So there's UC Berkeley. And then, just for reference, this is Stanford down here. And then there's the Golden Gate Bridge. So you're right across from the Golden Gate and right across from San Francisco. And there is public transit, of course, into San Francisco, our version of the metro, which is BART, the Bay Area Rapid Transit. Silicon Valley is really down here. When you think about Google, Apple, LinkedIn, Facebook, Palo Alto, San Jose, Mountain View, the Googleplex, Stanford, of course, where there's a lot. But really, Silicon Valley now has stretched up because San Francisco, all of these places now have big San Francisco campuses as well. So it pretty much stretches from San Francisco all the way to San Jose. And what's interesting is with all of that, we're now starting to get much more spillover here. So Berkeley focuses very much on kind of the San Francisco element, although we do a lot of work with other Silicon Valley companies as well. Here are the other things to do while you're here. If you go over to Marin, I live over here in Marin. We have great mountain biking, we have great hiking, we have great beaches, pastures, great cheese, things like that. You go north up to Napa and Sonoma is the wine country, so all of that is less than an hour away, easy to get to, beautiful. Our state capital is a mile away. Skiing is about 2.5 to 3 hours away. I love to ski, so I'll be a reference and I'll tell you where to go. Yosemite is also absolutely fantastic, about 3 hours, 3 to 4 hours by car. By the way, I'm curious, which of you guys, who made it to Yosemite? What, worth it? Yeah, I mean, just absolutely stunning. So, and then LA is about a 5 or 6 hour drive or a 1 hour plane flight. So that's just some bearings. So if you come, that'll give you a sense, and you'll definitely want to live, you know, right in the Berkeley area. The last thing, and these are some of the influences that I use a bit, is in the business school, and this isn't through the business school, this program, but I teach in the business school, has 4 key pillars, and I think they're really representative of the way that I think and we think about driving our thinking and our values into the entrepreneurship curriculum. It's question the status quo. As an entrepreneur, if you need to question the status quo, because your goal is to disrupt the status quo, right? Secondly, confidence without attitude. And that's how do you influence as well as deal with authority? So it's kind of coming across confidently, creating partnerships without being a jerk. So, and we try and also mimic that and do that in the classroom as well. Student always, but you guys are students. I mean, I love teaching because I learn something every time. And then beyond yourself. So are there social benefits as well to what we're doing? Environmental, social, societal. You know, are there things that we can do, even in for-profit enterprises, that give back to the world? And a number of the ventures that we had in our last cohort, actually in both of our cohorts, did that as well. So those are some of the principles that we try and drive in. We don't hammer those in, but they're just kind of in the backdrop, at least for me. Okay, so that's a little bit about Berkeley. If anybody has questions, the right people to ask are right here. Any quick ones? All right, do you want to hear for 3 minutes about, okay, good, and then we'll do a really quick one about my book. Go ahead.
I have a question. about the geographic differences between Paris and Berkeley when you try to do your startup. I suspect the customers and the people react differently, and maybe would react differently to your idea. So did it work the same when you tried to launch it in France or in San Francisco? And do you think it makes a big difference or not?
Okay, so we did it. Actually, we started our company in Berkeley, and then we launched it really in France because our product was only for France. But we got inspiration from another startup that did kind of the same thing that we do, but in the Silicon Valley. So we take all the inspiration on what they did and we adapt it. And I mean, I can't tell if it works right now because we just started, but we start to have some money, so.
Hi. So we haven't really launched any company at Berkeley, but Ziad and I have launched a company here about a year ago. And in the end, so the culture, the French culture and the US culture are obviously very, very different. But in the end, you will always find people here in Paris and an ecosystem that is here to help you and help you launch your business and make it scale. I think that there is one very big difference between the US and here. It's actually an unfair advantage of the US is that their market is 10 times bigger and there is 10 times more venture capital money. So in the end, that's the very big difference, I think. But there are opportunities in France as well as in the US. And we have very good advantages here in France too, like very good engineers. I don't know if you know that, but it's like just impossible to find engineers in the Silicon Valley. So.
Yeah, and just to add on top of that, I think in France there's no perfect place. So like you said, Silicon Valley, you have more VCs. No, not everybody needs to raise capital. You have more engineers in France. They are cheaper. You have a lot of public support that you don't have in the US, so there's no perfect place. But we had this one discussion this morning with some alumni of the program about the mindset. I think one thing that I've seen from an external point of view is how the people behave after and before and after the program. And clearly, for me, the confidence, the ambition, and the tools that they have, that makes a difference. After, France will be France, as long as you guys decided to change it. Huh? I mean, we had this discussion this morning. You should be, also all of you, I'm talking to the alumni or to you guys who want to do the program. We're not with Louis XIV anymore, so it's not the king decides and it's changing things. Like any single personal initiative can change things. And one big advantage for me in the Silicon Valley is, so they accept failure, so that's a great thing. They're super positive in any learning, any failure, any experience. They turn it to something very positive to go to the next move, etc., etc. So I'm always fascinated by that. I mean, I've been there since like 15 years. And I think one thing that you should import from the program beyond the tool, that's the kind of thing that you will tell your grandkids that you have been to Berkeley for the program, that Silicon Valley at that time was amazing, and blah, 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 blah. But then you also have a chance, and that's all, the reason why we built this program is we want to try, there's pros and cons in France, there are pros and cons in Silicon Valley, and what we want to do is that you learn as a person, and then you are willing to share when you get back to France, if you want to get back. Some of you will stay in the US. Some of the programs, they just flew back after to Y Combinator, etc. But you have the chance to make things move, and that's what we're trying to do at School Lab in general. We're trying to move the ecosystem. We're trying to move school. So everything, it's always too slow, but then it's also your responsibility to make things happen. And thanks to the expertise to guys like Mark, that slowly you can make things happen differently. So Mark, do you want to say a few words about your book now? About that?
And I will. One of the things that you learn too is if you want to change something and do the video, have somebody else talking while you're playing with the computer, right? So it's those little tricks that we try, and we always said, have the designated small talker. These guys are laughing again. So I thought that we would share one of the companies that didn't come out of this program, but it came out of two teams that ended up not continuing, but two of the founders in the program got together. Have any of you heard of Print? Okay, so do you guys want to watch the 2-minute video on it? If those of you have it, it's very cool. We'll do a quick video and show it, or we won't. You know what? We'll do it later. That's fine. We'll just. Oh, there you go. You got it. Why don't we actually? We'll wrap up with that. But now that we have it, so I know it's there, which is awesome. Thank you. And.
I think it also exists in France, but it's much stronger there. It's the entrepreneurial network. If someone's an entrepreneur, even if he's really successful and you go ask him something, he's going to feel, well, it happened a lot and it surprised me at first, that he wants to give back. Because when he started, some old entrepreneurs or some successful entrepreneurs helped him. So people are going to want to help you, even if you're no one. So that surprised me a lot, that people who have nothing to prove and they really don't have nothing to get from you, they're going to give you advice, they're going to direct you where you want, to someone that can help you, that's someone that can give you advice, and the network is really strong, mostly among entrepreneurs, I think. So that's another difference between France and...
Well, and I also think the ecosystem, especially with places like this, is really improving here. I mean, you're going to get mentorship, you're going to find colleagues that you can talk with, but there's kind of no richer ecosystem than the San Francisco Bay Area. You know, if we take a look at the maturity model and, you know, which is the furthest along, the San Francisco Bay Area is just deep and wide with talent, money, expertise, entrepreneurs. And the other thing about it is, and a couple of the former students have mentioned this, you may have an idea, well, it may have been tried once or twice here in France. It's probably been tried 30 times in the Bay Area. And people will know that. So the benefit of that is if you want to take an idea and then bring it back, there's more expertise there, there's more you can borrow from as well that is going to make your idea that much better. So as Alexis was saying earlier, for example, with their idea, they borrowed elements of it from a business that was already up and running in the Bay Area, but it didn't exist here. So those are some of the things you'll get. All right, I'm going to really quickly just talk about failure, because if you do come, you'll be hearing more about it anyway, and if you don't come, it's okay. So the thing about failure, which is really fascinating, is that it's one of these things that we think about all the time. All the time. We fear it all the time, but we don't talk about it terribly much. And this topic of failure came out of all the work that I've done in innovation and entrepreneurship, and kind of what separates people that succeed from those that fail. And ultimately, the people that succeed are ones who have had a most productive relationship with failure, because pretty much anybody that's really successful has also has failed at a really high level as well. But they've been able to bounce back. So when we wrote the book, the thing that was fascinating is we had, for example, the CEO of Time Warner, which is the large media company, said, let me write the foreword to this book. This is a topic that's really important and nobody talks about it. So we loved that. So we call failure the other F word. But there are other F words. So if you just go to theotherfword.com, that other F word is faith. So you'll try and get converted on a website. So if you want to look for the book, and if you want to actually download some free excerpts, go to theotherfwordbook.com. And then there's stuff there for you. So here's what's interesting about failure. When you think about all the things that we do, we fail far more often than we succeed. Even Michael Jordan missed more than half of the field goals. How many here have done New Year's resolutions? How are those working out for you? Right? More than 80% of New Year's resolutions fail. That's what's great about it, is you get to use them again and again. And we can keep taking a look at this. 95% of new products fail. VC-funded startups, 3 out of 4 don't even return the amount. These are the best of the best, right? The ones that have gotten that far don't even return the amount of capital that was invested in them to their investors. So there's a lot of failure. So we recognize that it exists. I'm not going to ask you to, typically what we would do about now is I would say, think about a failure, think what you learned from it, now discuss among yourselves. But we're just going to move past that because there's beer that's getting warm in the back of the room. There's a lot that's been written about this topic. But here's what was really interesting. We took a look at the literature, and we realized that there was a lot of kind of hoorah stories like, I failed, but I persevered, and I succeeded. You know, the Richard Branson biography. But what can we learn from that? Those are pretty unique. You know, what did Steve Jobs do? You know, he just ignored reality. Okay, we can't all do that either. So there's those stories. Then there's the real Silicon Valley, fail fast, lean startup, keep failing, fail quickly, do all of that. That's good for some things, but that's not what this is about, because that's a very specific approach there. And then there's kind of all the self-help books, and we didn't really want to have anything to do with the self-help books. So what we did is we went out and we looked at hundreds of companies and interviewed hundreds of executives, and we said, how do you put failure to work in a productive way? And really briefly, we looked at this and we said, look, failures, people treat it as a regrettable event. When you fail, what do? Do you talk about it, or do you not talk about it and hope nobody else talks about it? The thing about it is, if you don't talk about it, then you can't learn from it because you push it away. And in fact, because I've done this too, you try not to think about failure. You fear failing. This whole thing of fear of failure, you know, is really bad for innovation. But how do you use it as a strategic resource? So we came up with a 7-step cycle looking at companies that really processed, and leaders that processed failure better. And they actually turned failure into a resource for success. Okay, I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So here's one of the fascinating things about entrepreneurship. The reason opportunities exist is because large companies or other people in the marketplace are doing a shitty job meeting customer needs, or they didn't see a trend coming. So we say, you know, your screw-up creates the opportunity for my startup. But then as a startup, you are going to screw up. You are going to fail as you iterate through that customer discovery, right? Now, how many of you use the mobile application Bourbon? Yeah, I didn't think so. The reason is this was a well-funded startup. Andreessen Horowitz, if you know those guys, one of the top venture firms, put a lot of money into it. And what these guys did was they had a mobile app that had elements of e-commerce and some gaming in it, some location-based features, and this great little photo app. But as they were getting ready to bring it to market, and they were testing with their users, you know what their users said? They said, this product sucks. We don't know when to use it, we don't know how to use it, it's too complicated, but we love this little photo app. So what they did was they jettisoned everything except the little photo app, and they created this product that actually was worth about $1 billion with a total team of 12 people. So they listened to what the market said. They failed their way to success by saying, all right, let's learn from what those failures are. So sometimes, though, instead of pivoting, you have to rivet. You maybe need to stay right where you are. So who has this product in their household? WD-39? Well, I'm guessing that you probably have WD-40, because WD-39 was the formula. Actually, they came up with this as the Rocket Chemical Company, and they had water displacement formula number 1. And that didn't work. Number 2, number 3, number 4. They went through 40 iterations before they came up with this thing that we all use all the time. Okay, so this is little failures that led to success. And kind of the essence of the book is this cycle that we go through. Respect that it happens a lot so you don't run away from it. Rehearse for those failure events that can be terminal or that do happen a lot so that when they do happen, you're prepared for them. Recognize them early, react in the moment, do the appropriate thing, prepare for that through this. Then once you've reacted and you've stabilized it, reflect upon what went wrong, why did we fail, what can we learn from it, how should we change our course, and then you incorporate that in your rebound stage, which is the execution plan, and then finally remember it, tell stories about it. You know, if you went to the WD-40 offices, wouldn't it be great if they had cans of WD-1 through 39 there that tells about the history and the way that they treat those small little failures. So this is our failure value cycle, and this is something that helps you process failure in a way that it turns it into that strategic resource. Now there's a lot more. If we had more time, I'd be happy to share it with you, but it's in the book, and if you're interested in learning more about this, go to, do I have it? The otherfwordbook.com, and you can go ahead and download some information. So, Olivier, I think I have overstayed my welcome. I will hand the mic back.
Thanks, Mark. So, I don't know if you guys have any question for. So that's beginning of the Mark fan club in Paris, the chapter. Just to give you like more logistic issues. So we are processing candidates every month. So until end of May. So we are asking you, as you probably all of you know, so statement of purpose, your transcripts, and we are running interviews. So what we are looking, like Mark said, is people with passion. So you don't need to have a project. You don't need to know by heart what you want to do since you're 4 years old, because the entrepreneur is failing, changing your mind, etc. So we are willing for diversity also, trying to get not only engineer, not only business, not only male, because I've seen a lot of male. The more diverse, the better, like Mark said. And Anna, who's here, maybe you can raise your hand, who's the contact point. So she's receiving all the applications, and we are trying to give you like the first week of each month, an answer, and give you dates for interviews that we are running here to make it happen. So that's for the logistics. So if you have any question, you can ask now or during the small not coffee, but beer, if there's any left. I've seen the more I go, yeah.
There are no quotas, but we'd love to have more women. So it's so great to see the women that are here. So we can have a few more women entrepreneurs as well.
Yeah. So we're trying to push that pretty hard. We have, Mark, you don't know that, but we have actually a network of women entrepreneurs that has been created called Spicy. That's been created from our class CPI. They're doing a lot of great stuff. So if you have any questions, it's maybe now. Do you have any specific need for the visa or whatever?
Yes. Do we start in Berkeley and then we finish the 4 months?
Yes. So the starting dates, it's not totally fixed yet, but it's going to be mid-August. So it's probably going to be around the 17th or 18th of August. That's where the program starts. So you can arrive, obviously, a little bit before. So the international department of Berkeley is taking care of all the visas issues with you. You can stay up to 1 month after the end of the program. So you can either take time to travel or to launch your startup even more, meet people, etc. So it's flexible. You have roughly about 2 days of class per week, and then the rest 3 to 3 days to work. You have classes to work on your startup, and the rest is supposed to be dedicated for group work and trying to leverage as much as possible all the opportunities you have on campus. Once again, I think you have an amazing amount of opportunities on campus. It can be in Berkeley, it could be downtown San Francisco, etc. Good news is, as you may know, like really the heart of all the startup, they were already in the south of San Francisco before. Everybody knows like Palo Alto, etc. But then it tends to move more downtown, which is closer to Berkeley. So it's going to be easier for you to meet with the ecosystem. There's like meetups every day for any given topic. So you can really leverage it. Like one of the alumni was saying, it's fascinating to see how easy it is to meet people. It's not like here you would not shoot an email to Xavier Niel and just hope that he will answer and give you a coffee. And I mean, even after like 15 years, I'm still fascinating how it is to meet. Like Mark was saying, you have an amazing asset to be a student. Everybody loves students because everybody was just remembering like good old times. So it's very easy to be to have a meeting with guys as long as you don't have you just know how to pitch your idea, like, and why you want to meet, and the people are like very, very welcoming. So it's really a great opportunities. We try to improve the program every year, so trying to learn. Like Mark said, we are entrepreneurs, so when we created that, everybody thought it was a little bit crazy, but it's still young, but we are like improving every year. And if you have any question, you can ask like during the beer time. And we just have one last little speaker. I don't see him. Oh yeah, that's your time. C'est sur quel PC tu veux? C'est celui-là, sur le mien?
Hi. So, as I just said before, I launched my startup, which is Padam, with Ziad, just over there, when we came back from Berkeley. So that's pretty much 1 year ago. So I'm going to pitch you our usual pitch tonight, as we do in front of investors. And okay, so let's go. So that's not the one. Okay. Wait. Okay.
Pitch without slides. Also
Yeah.
that happens.
Okay. So as someone said during our stay at Berkeley, the MVP of the presentation is the presenter itself. So I might be able to deliver still, if that's okay. So I'm going to start anyway. So the basic idea of Padam is to build the public transportation 2.0. So okay, very good, good. So we started with one observation, is that today public transportation systems do not use the potential of digital technologies, like basically the smartphone and geolocation or any kind of real-time optimization. And so this results in a big gap between usual public transportation systems, like we know, like the bus, the metro, the subway, and the flexible kind of transportation systems that are usually individual, like the private cars or taxi, or obviously Uber. So the price difference between those systems is almost like a factor 10. So we thought that it was possible to build something very flexible, like pretty much like a taxi experience, but at a lower price, much more like the price of a bus ticket. So the solution is real-time shared minibuses. So imagine a fleet of minibuses driving into town, and with a mobile app, you can book a ride on your smartphone. And in real time, we will identify the right minibus to transport you and update its route according to powerful algorithms that we developed. So the difference is that usual public transportation systems are based on infrastructures and are very good when you have to transport big masses of people along fixed lines. But when you have a more dispersed demand, these kind of systems are not the right response. So we have an approach of smart grid that matches the demand in real time. So we started with a very basic problem, which was the night transportation at night in Paris. So basically, we have the same kind of gap that I explained before. So you have the Noctilien, which is the public bus, which is a very, very bad user experience. And on the other hand, you have the taxi, which is a very flexible experience, but at a very higher price. So what we offer today, it's available like every weekend right now in Paris, is to book a ride on your smartphone, and you will be automatically grouped with other people, depending on where you are going. And the prices are very competitive with the other services that are currently available. So basically with €5, you can cover most of Paris. So we tried to have a very lean startup approach to this problem. So since the beginning of the project, we started offering the service very on like private events with zero line of code, and we started like that transporting people without even the slightest beginning of a technology. And this allowed us to build our product according to the user's needs. So today we have transported about 12 or 1,300 people, and we can iterate every week on the product. So our business model is that we have developed a unique platform, unique technology that allows to transport a lot of people in an optimized way. And we offer our platform as a plug-and-play product, basically a SaaS software, to transport operators that will use our technology for any kind of public systems. So actually the transport operators buy take a subscription to our service, to our product, and use it to operate transportation systems in all kinds of territories. So just a brief overview of our technology, but basically what is important is that we developed unique algorithms that allow real-time optimization of the routes of the vehicles. And we have started to build a learning cycle with big data. We are using our own data and other kinds of data, of transportation data, to learn and to make our algorithms better. Okay, so as I said, the first market that we are targeting is the night in Paris. It's a fairly small market, niche market, but it allows us to have a first proof of concept. And we have several other segments that are much bigger than that we are trying to address. Like, for example, train stations and airports, where you have big amounts of people traveling, and we could absolutely share those people in the same minibuses instead of having like private taxis for everyone. It's much more efficient. And actually our end market is just public transportation for any kind of city that is currently using fixed lines with buses that are driving with just a few people on board, because these are not the right it's not the right answers to a lot of public demand. Okay. Thanks. And so and with our team, so Ziad and I co-founded the company, and we were joined very early in the project by our CTO Rafik, which has an amazing background both in informatics and optimization. And very recently, we were joined by Charlene from EDEC, which is in charge of marketing, and Mona is our designer. So thank you very much for your attention. And
all right, thank you, guys. Now, wait, I have two questions and a request.
Okay.
Can I download the app right now?
Yeah, you can.
Okay, so what do I need to do to download the app?
What?
I go to the what do I need to? Everybody, take out your phones, please, right now. And what app should they download?
It's just called Padam. It's
Just
very
called
easy.
Padam, right? So
Yeah.
just download.
Just like that.
Will everybody please download? Now, when can they use the app?
They can use the app every weekend at night during pretty much 2 and 5.
Night.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's morning, right? Between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. So
Exactly.
if you need a ride Friday and Saturday night, Saturday and Sunday morning between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.,
Yeah.
take out your phone and use Padam, right?
Yeah, just
Okay. Now, we have people at the doors that will be checking your phones. If you do not have the app, you cannot leave. Is that okay?
yeah.
All right. Awesome.
good.
Thanks, guys. Are we done? Olivier, anything?
Yeah, so we're done. So special thanks again to Mark, who flew from Berkeley just for you guys. So I hope you appreciate, like, it's 25 hours minimum back and forth to
I'm having a great time.
So
This is great.
You brought us the sun. So thanks again for your presence here. Feel free if you have any question. There's no stupid question again. We're trying to build the best program possible for you. So any idea, suggestion, things that you have in mind is open to all. And so we're going to stay a few minutes, Mark and I and Anna, with you if you want to chat about anything. And so thanks again. And if you want to apply, wonderful. If you don't want to apply, wonderful. You just make a decision, have fun, try to drive yourself into what make you wake up in the morning happy. And if you want to use the space at School Lab here, like it has been made for you. So feel free to talk to any of us to try to enjoy the space. And so that's it. So thanks for everybody to be here today.